Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 642 of the Drunk Dashers podcast. As always, I'm Tyler, and join me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Oh man, I'm doing pretty good. Just kind of excited just to tie up the last little remaining bits of the whole game of the year stuff.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
are you?
I'm doing all right, man. Yeah, it's only been a few minutes. It's been a bathroom break for us, but it's been about a week, maybe give or take. So unless the Switch 2 announcement happened, in the time we're recording this, because we just recorded part one a few minutes ago. So if something's happened in the last couple weeks, yeah. Hopefully, hopefully, whatever. Anyways, if like go back to last week's episode, we did a part one of Game of the Year. Unless Switch 2 happened, then maybe we punted this a week or something. I don't know. This is past us talking about future us. But anyways, this is part two of our Game of the
Yep.
Year podcast that we do it every year. This is Gables and I's 12th time doing this. We've been doing it every year since 2013. We did a full recap of like the past winners, going all the way back to 2013 for us. If you want to check this out, and then our part one of this. So last week was 10 through 6. This week will be 5 through 1, and we'll do honorable mentions. Like I said, we do not know each other's list. This is all new to us. So it's gonna be a fun little surprise. You're
Yep.
seeing our reactions as we're doing this. Before though we get into all that, we do have to mention that Gables and I, we've been doing this for nearly 12 years now. We do this for fun. We have full time jobs. We don't make money off this. We do it because we love video games. So really, there's no Patreon. There's no way to actually directly send us money. The best way to help us out, honestly, is just by giving us some of your time and clicking some buttons. If you could hit the likes, subscribes, the 5 stars, the follows, leave the comments, share with your friends. Maybe the biggest thing you can do for us. Really, that's what the best way to help us out. And also, if you have a YouTube account, maybe even like you don't have to watch us on there, but if you can just go on our like find our YouTube account, Drunk Nerds, Drunk-Nerds, you'll find us. And hit the subscribe button, maybe some thumbs ups on there. That really would appreciate it because we are really close to getting like the number we need for subscribers to make it so we can make some ad revenue off this. So maybe Gables and I can buy a coffee every now and again from Starbucks or something like that. Maybe Gables can afford to add the caramel drizzle on his coffee. That'd be great. It's 60 cents, but god damn it, it's good. Anyways, though, if in case maybe it's been a week maybe since you've listened to us for last week's, if you don't want to be spoiled about last week's, go back and check it out. We're gonna do a quick recap of our 10 through 6 so far. We're gonna start with Gables here, number 10 for him, Buckshot Roulette. Number 9, Arzette the Jewel Fairmore. Number 8, the Pokemon trading card game Pocket. Number 7, Vampire Survivors Ode to Castlevania, and number 6, Splatoon 3 Side Order. My number 10 through 6 so far here. Number 10, start off Metaphor Refantasio. Number 9, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Number 8, Helldivers 2. Number 7, Stellar Blade. And number 6, Neva. So, Gables, we're going to go ahead and jump into number 5 here, buddy. You started off with us last time.
All
We're going
right.
to start with you again, buddy. What is your number 5?
All right. So my number five is the culmination of a game that I've been playing for multiple years and pretty much tied up the last remaining bits of it last year. And I'm talking about Destiny 2, The Final Shape. Now, The Final Shape, going into that, the year prior, I played the expansion for Destiny 2. It had to do a lot in terms of like the Planet Neptune and stuff and all the various like side crap or something before the culmination of like the final shape. Basically, Bungie put out that previous expansion. It was fairly lacking and as compared to say like the Witch Queen, the expansion before that, because that one was a fantastic expansion, had a lot of intricacies, a lot of differences and stuff. But yeah, for the one before this year and stuff, it just seemed to be like incredibly lacking. The characters were not that memorable. With Final Shape, it tied together pretty much the entirety of what had been going on since like the very beginning of like the Destiny storyline up until that point, the confrontation with the witness and stuff, and the various missions you had to go and like do until like you finally get up to like that main big old boss fight. But from point A to point B, there was just a lot of different factors. There's a lot of different like type of new abilities you get a chance to use. There's a lot of various like weapons you get to experiment with. You actually gain the abilities to actually cross like certain type of ability classes together and stuff. So, for example, you could predominantly use like maybe a void, and then like have like certain pyro, certain abilities and stuff. It's basically Bungie kind of scrapping a lot of their conventional type of things that they had done for like over the past what was it? It's like 2017 since like the Destiny 2 like released, that they decided to go through and like do something completely different, but at the same time tie together a lot of the basic storyline stuff. And quite honestly, I did enjoy my time with it. I didn't do like a lot of like online stuff, but I thought the most memorable part about it was going through that initial single player campaign, like basically finding out a lot of revelations that tie into certain races and stuff like that, and their the witnesses manipulation of them into forming like certain like certain reasons why certain factions or something like that are against like people of like Earth and stuff like that, and like the just the main like survivors and stuff, and that the witness is like this big old accumulating force and stuff that's kind of like uncomprehend uh oh my god, comprehensible or something of that sort.
Uncomprehensible.
Uncomprehensible,
Okay.
yes. Thank
Yeah.
you. I don't know why I
Dude, I
struggle
struggled on it too,
saying
but I'm
that.
also 3 beers in and it's 1 in the morning. So
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But yeah, the witness is just one of those beings and stuff like that, to where he a lot of influence around like the universe and stuff, has a lot of like powerful opponents and stuff, and facing off against these particular types of like guardsmen and stuff throughout this entire expansion was tough. I did play it through one of my good friends and stuff in real life and stuff, so it's like we had a chance to like go through a lot of the various storyline stuff and a lot of the various like other things. I mean, there were some tie-ins, some like little things, where you have like Nathan Fillion's character returns and stuff like that to make amends with Crow and stuff, and the banter between those two I thought was well done. Thought it was like a full like a whole full circle type of moment, to where it's like you have the events of what happened with the Forsaken and stuff like that, DLC for Destiny 2, all the way up until like the final shape, to where it's like these two are kind of like making amends and try to like just kind of repent and stuff like that, especially with Crow and stuff, and the whole stuff that he goes through from being from his initial start in Destiny 2, from that start and till finally where he ended up at in terms of the end for final shape. It's just completely different of a character in some aspects, while maintaining like certain evolution stuff. But yeah, number five is Destiny 2: The Final Shape. It has a memorable story. A lot of the characters do tie in nicely with one another and stuff. And The Witness, in terms of its whole epic final boss thing, where you're just basically doing like a gigantic like raid battle against like a raid boss. It was just very hectic, very crazy, but it was such an awesome experience. But even though after that, it kind of sort of diminished my interest in Destiny 2 as a whole, especially after we learned a lot in terms of what Destiny's, like Bungie's plan was for that series. It's like it's like one of those things where it's like my last
mhm.
hurrah for Destiny 2, because I have no plans really to go back and play the game, like, or any of that sort. I mean, who knows what's going to end up happening, but at this time, I just treated it sort of like my last final, like, hurrah for just Destiny 2, or just Destiny as a franchise. So that's why it's number five on the
All right.
list.
Well, my number five is a game that I was like maybe one of my biggest concerns going into the year of like, is this like the beginning of is this the end of one of my all time favorite studios? And it seems like honestly this might be the return of one of my all time favorite studios. Dragon Age: The Veilguard is number five. Um, Completely blown away by this game. I was like a lot of concerns, like they're really changing up the play style with it, like especially with like obviously I'm a much bigger Mass Effect fan than I am a Dragon Age fan, but I really did like Dragon Age One, Dragon Age Origins, and then like Inquisition are fantastic, but like I really not like I was never like love the gameplay, but it was like the world and the lore and the characters is really what dragged me through that game. And I'm also not a big fantasy guy either. Like fantasy is one of my least favorite like settings you can put me in. And like
Hmm.
I think that's part of the reason I actually now think about like metaphor maybe being at number 10 as well for me. But like this like Dragon Age is one of those few exceptions for me of like I will play it, especially helps that it's Bioware on top of that too. But like it's really changing up the like I said, they go from kind of a more of a slower pace, strategy game for combat to more of like a faster, like a action adventure game, closer. Like I kind of like at the time, I kind of compared the gameplay to more like a Final Fantasy 16, where you're no longer jumping between characters. Like you can like you tell them when they use abilities, kind of like you would like almost kind of like you would play when you play like the original Mass Effect trilogy, where like you only play as like you're one person, but like you can tell them when they use their powers and stuff like that, and like you can bring certain characters with you, and like their powers can like team up to like almost like do a combo, like to do like a big ultra attack and stuff like that. But I think what I really liked about it was like I spent about 55 hours beating this game. I did all the side quests, I did all the loyalty missions, and like I talk about all the time. Like sometimes I play like these like bigger games, and I kind of front load it, but I do like everything in the beginning to the point that like, but then I get like 50, 60 hours in or 40 hours in or whatever, and I'm ready. I'm just like, all right, I'm kind of just ready to beat this game and move on. But I still have like 10, 20 hours left of story to go, and I kind of like like it
Mm,
kind of sours my experience at the end because I'm like that the last, like I enjoyed the first 40 hours. The last 10 hours I didn't like so much because I was ready to move on. Um, I did everything. I did all like the optional fights you can do. I did all the side quests. I maxed out everything, and I'm literally missing one achievement to like get all 1,000, and it's just like an optional like conversation thing that like you can go one or two ways. Mine went the bad way instead of the good way, but I have like a save. I can go back and get it in like an hour. I'm gonna do that eventually. But like I did all that, and I was not like if you told me there was 10 more hours of gameplay to do and like side quest stuff like that, I would have gladly done it. I really like this game. I enjoy the combat. It's like normally like when I play like these type of games, like I don't like get deep into like the finding like the meta of like the combat of like you like getting these things to like work together to like using these abilities to like work together to like do up like maximum damage. I'm usually just like, I'm dumb gamer. I want to see numbers go higher, and like I just pick like, cool. Oh, this makes my strength go up 0.6%. I'll go with that one over like, it's like I talk about like when I was like really into like when I played like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff back in the day, or like Pokemon, the card game, or even like when I play the Pokemon games. I don't pick like what's the best like six characters or the best cards for my deck. I just pick the ones I like and like just go with them. And it might make it harder for me, but that's usually what I do. And like this is like I actually went in like it's cool because like you can go in the skill tree. It's like a lot of games do it nowadays, but like I like that like you can actually like when you put skills in the skill tree, you can like take them back and you can rearrange them and stuff like that. And I really actually spent time playing through the game of like finding like, all right, cool. How does this work together? So I had like this really great build of like my character like would do like fire damage and like poison damage. So I just found this like great combination of like, so I would like take out people's like health like, super quickly, and like I maxed out like my level like with fairly decent to the game, and like like, and that still was like, I'm ready to keep playing this game. Like, I'm not done with like what I'm doing here. And
mhm,
like, yeah, I like said, like one of my favorite things in video games is like your group of characters and just like that cast of characters, and like this has it, and like there's even I really like the loyalty quest in this, where like like I really like loyalty quests are like the best parts of Mass Effect 2. It's like one of the most like what makes that game legendary is like it's not even like the story of Shepard, it's really like those loyalty quests in Mass Effect 2 that like are maybe like the most defining parts of that trilogy. And like I'm not gonna say this is on the level of those, but like I really liked how like it's instead of just like one or two missions in this, like they're like it kind of grows. Like there are like each character on your team, I think there's six or seven, like have like like I don't know, maybe 8 to 10, like maybe there's less, I don't know. I can't remember. It's been a few months since I played it, but there's actually like a bunch of like missions for them to do, and some of them like they might be like a 3 4 minute conversation, they might be like a 10 15 minute little mission, like some of them like, but then like there's like they grow them bigger and they all lead to like this like there's usually like a middle like longer story mission, like a site loyalty mission for them, and then there's like there's a few more in between. Then it ends with like the big huge like these like massive changes. Like you learn a lot about these characters, and like you unlock like new skills because you kind of maximize their like skill tree, and like I'll give like their ultimate power if you do those things. But like there's characters in the game that like I wasn't really using in my party because you can only bring three with you, and like I was just kind of sticking with my two or three that I liked. And like this kind of because you when you're doing the missions you have to bring that character with you, and it really like made me like it really forces you to like use these characters, and like they each have their own different skills, they all bring their own thing to the table, and like I really end up like, and like there are these characters like I would talk to and I would do all the conversations. It's like I really don't care about this guy too much. I'm just doing it because I'm doing all of them. But like eventually, like there's a character like Emmerich who he's like a necromancer. Like I did not really care for him too much at all. Like for like a good chunk of the game. And then like as I was doing like his loyalty missions and stuff, like he ended up becoming one of my favorite characters. Like of all the characters, like all your people in your crew, like Bolaro is number one for sure. But
Hmm.
like Emmerich ended up being like two or three for me. Like I ended up like loving him. And then like honestly, like it's like his, especially his story where it ends. But also like my favorite thing is like he's a necromancer, so he has like a little buddy with him that's a skeleton, and his name is Fred, and like he's just kind of there like the comic relief of the game, and like he's like you can when you roam around like your like a little home you're in. Like he's like standing there, and you can go up there and just play rock paper scissors with him. And when he loses, he just does this like he doesn't talk, but he just does this like overreaction, like and it's just like this dumb thing of like but yeah, it was just like there's little dumb things like that. But like I thought they really nailed um like the characters in the game. The loyalty missions are fantastic. I absolutely loved the basically like the suicide mission in this game where you go into like the point of no return, and like you have to like pick like jobs for them, and like you can actually like you can act like you can max out everything like I did and like do everything. But if you put them on the wrong jobs, do the wrong thing, you can lose everybody. You can lose multiple people, even if like you maxed out their ranking or max out your level. Like everybody can die. It's like it's not just like oh, I did all the loyalty missions and like I made sure I was high enough level and we're good now. And like no, like you could fuck up and like I actually lost one character in like the final part, but like I absolutely loved it. I loved the final boss fight was awesome. The ending was great and like I did like the thing to get I got the best ending possible because of like everything I did in the game. But yeah, I was absolutely blown away by this and like I'm not here to say like BioWare's back and better than ever, but like I for the first time since like I was 2/3 of the way through Mass Effect 3. I'm like I truly believe in Bioware again, and like that's exciting, and I'm so excited for like Mass Effect 5 now at this point. So yeah, my number five, Dragon Age: The Veilguard. But Gables, let's jump into your number four, buddy.
My number four is Tekken 8.
Oh wow, okay.
Tekken 8, during last year when I first got my laptop, I wanted to try out one of those AAA games and stuff that was releasing at the time. So, Tekken 8, I love Tekken, and I wanted to see how well this thing would run on my new laptop. And dude, it ran so fucking silky smooth, dude. Like 120 hertz, like 144, like in terms of like P and stuff. The gameplay fast, frantic, the whole heat system and stuff to where you can get to go and combo with certain characters and stuff and then try to do this high risk, high reward type of thing to where you could spend like exert a lot of this specific meter in terms of like heat mode and stuff to get a couple of different combos in, or it could work entirely against you. Someone can use counters and just basically wreck your shit. But what I loved most about this game, it was going through a lot of the single player mode of it to where you're basically playing as Jin Kazama, right? And you're going through this whole initial thing to try to regain back your powers and stuff. So the thing about Tekken in a nutshell and stuff, it's like it's just a battle between like you, like Jin Kazama and like Kaguya and stuff like that. So yeah, Kaguya, like, oh god, Mishima. Yeah, that's right. I had to really think about it for a second, dude. It's like I'm starting to like kind of get into that point where, oh god, the sleep is starting to come forth, and I'm like, no, we're not too pulling an old man shit. We're finishing this shit. So it's like these epic battles between both like Kaguya and stuff and Jean, such an epic like culmination of things and stuff to where it's like you'll face off against each other like in their like the big old like devil forms and stuff like that, just beating the shit out of one another. There comes a point in that game in terms of single player to where you're literally you know what, this is gonna be little bits of like spoiler stuff. So for people that don't really want to know how crazy this stuff is without experiencing yourself, I mean, you can skip ahead like about 5 minutes or so. Okay. So one of the most craziest portions of this entire game and stuff is like when this fight, this escalation gets so intense between Jean and like Kaguya and stuff. They're literally fighting on the fucking moon. Like literally like they're literally like fighting on top of like a like on the moon and then all of a sudden it's like they got on the moon and they're falling down to Earth on this freaking fucking meteorite and stuff. They're all just battling. You're just battling one another and stuff like in the like those fighting game stage sort of thing. And then once you get past a certain extent where you finally beat them and stuff, it basically is like a final culmination of you. Like there's no powers, there's no like added stuff. It's just a straight up like you versus Kaguya and stuff, and that epic final battle confrontation. It was just like playing like a freaking action film or like playing games like Asura's Wrath, to where there's just one big moment after one big moment that come forward and stuff. Progression stuff in the story will happen. You do have a chance to choose different characters you get to play along the way in terms of like specific moments, like one army against another, or this or that, but or even like inside of one tournament or some for the King of Iron Fist and stuff. So yeah, it's like Kaguya and like yourself as the finals inside of this big old massive sort of like tournament and stuff, but like the obviously the winner pretty much takes the it's like either saves the world or just takes over the world. And obviously it's like you have all these different types of shit just going on and stuff for this whole, oh god, all these different like battle stakes and stuff going on and stuff, to where like when the end result of the final battle, it's just basically just set with everything all said and done, all these epic things like going to the moon, falling down on a meteorite straight to Earth and stuff like that, that just go and just it just literally takes it down to just the basic. Okay, you're just playing Tekken now. You're not just going just worrying about all this other outlandish stuff going through, but it's just one of those big old action games. The game just looked incredibly beautiful. The gameplay itself was tight, like responsive and stuff, and it ultimately just made it felt like this is probably one of the best like Tekken games in terms of its whole single player aspect and stuff. And that's saying something, because Tekken 3, that was a fantastic game on PlayStation and stuff. I played bits of like Tekken 5 and stuff on PSP. Tekken 6 and 7, I did enjoy those. I actually completed Tekken 6, I remember, on the 360 back in the day. And Tekken 7, just love experimenting with, because I love playing like characters like Safina and stuff, and like Jean, and like Kaguya and like all this other stuff. But Tekken 8 is really kind of escalated it to where it made it much more quick and much more aggressive, and sort of like a lot more sort of like methodical sort of style, how it was initially, that I felt like it was enough to kind of warrant itself like better than some of the other games that came before it. And so for my number 4 is going to be Tekken 8.
All right, very cool. Um, my number 4 is, if you would have told me this was number 4 on my list this time last year, I would have called you fucking crazy. I'm like, there's no chance this game is
Hmm.
into number 4. Um, but yeah, it is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Um,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
so this is a weird one. This is one of the more difficult ones we've ever done. This is like one of my most anticipated games ever. I from a guy that didn't give a shit about Final Fantasy VII when I played Remake back in 2020, to like now I've replayed through Remake again. I beat the original Final Fantasy VII. I bought and watched Advent Children. I played Crisis Core. I've done it all. I've done it fucking all. I'm in. And my for years I've said my concern is they Kingdom Hearts this shit, and they kind of Kingdom Hearts this shit, and that pisses a lot of people off. I'm still mad about the one comment about the guy that got that mansplained to me that I should appreciate this game because the guy that created Kingdom Hearts made this game, and I should appreciate the fact for that. No, I fucking don't have to. I don't have to do any of that
No.
shit. I love Hideo Kojima more than most people in the world. All right, and I have for years bitched about Death Stranding. All right, I can love something and still be mad at it. Okay, so don't fucking. You know what, Kingdom Hearts? Also, you fucking suck. Anyways, this is about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm going on a fucking tangent now. It's way too late. We got too much going on. I do not have the time to do a fucking uh, Kingdom Hearts Final Fantasy VII tangent. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It is the most frustrating game I think I've ever talked about in the over 11 years of us doing this podcast. I There are so many parts of this game that like this is game of the year. If I just had like the main like the story parts of this game where you're just like where it feels like Final Fantasy 7 remake are like I loved all of this. When I'm like I've talked about multiple times. You look at my list, it's a lot of games that fit my formula of like, hey, here's this really cool cast of characters. You're just gonna hang out with them and it's just vibes, dog. And there's also on top of that, you're gonna have some great boss fights and some great music on top of that. That's my shit. That is Tyler shit right there. I talk about like you look at my top three games of last year. It was Final Fantasy 16, Zelda Tears of the, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and Hi-Fi Rush. All three of those games, great cast characters, great music, great boss fights. I love that shit. And this game had all of that, but there's so much shit in between that drive me so goddamn nuts. I said Queen's Blood, one of the coolest fucking things. I hope to God, I will buy Queen's Blood for like $40 if you give me like an expansion to that. It's so fucking good. But anyways, there are so many parts of this game where like the pacing is just all over the place. Where like they have these like there's I think almost the problem is like the anticipation, maybe the of like in like of what people were expecting of all this, and they knew the anticipation from the fans was gonna be so high that they just kind of went ham on all of these big moments to like getting you go Costa del Sol, or you go to the fucking the game area. It's gone. I totally forgot the name. But anyways, when you get to these like
Golden saucer.
what
The golden
golden saucer,
saucer.
thank you for that. Um, when you get to those parts, like it is so epic, it's so great. Like the cutscenes when you get there and the build up to all of it, and like them just mentioning it, and stuff like, oh, they said the thing, you're so excited about it, you know. And then when you get there, and it's like all that is so great. But it's like once you get there and you spend all this time there, and it's just like I don't want to like they take these like really great moments of like these memorable moments of that first game, and you're so excited for it, and I'm just like I don't want to be here anymore. Like Costa del Sol, like going there and like multiple like, and it's like really quick. Where like a few hours in between of like you go to the Costa del Sol and like you have to like you have to do all these fucking mini games that are not good. They're not fun to play, and like like you have to like get X amount of points before you can move on, and like they're just like they're not long, but they're just long enough that like you don't want to do them. Like they don't have that like I fucked up, just do the retry and do it again. They're just long enough that like they're too long to like do the. I'll do it again. Fuck it. You know, like I want to get that. I want to get the gold in this. You know, I don't. You know, it's like I was like, oh cool. I like the fucking Red 13 bad Rocket League game will give me nightmares until the day I die. That game took years off of my life. I hope to God I never have to hear or think about it again after this podcast. I'm gonna have to like up my Lexapro because of that fucking game. It is that I'm getting mad again thinking about it. But anyways, and like all that stuff, like there's like it's such a beautiful parts of this game. It's so dumb and so like some of the fun stuff you do in there, like it's like I said, like dumb fun. It's like stuff in here, but then they just throw that bullshit, all these mini games at you, and then you do it again in the fucking golden saucer, and it's worse. There's more. There's more of them, and they're not fun. They're kind of fun, but they're not fun enough. I want to do 5 fucking times, you know, and like you got to do them again. And then they add story like side quests to it, and I was like, well, I'm doing all the side quests, so I guess I'll fucking do this. And I did the goddamn thing where you basically like I 100% had the fucking goddamn chocobo races, and it pissed me off. I was like, cool, that's the final side quest. I'm done. No, there's one more side quest you have to do. You have to get platinum in all the mini games. I was like, fuck this game. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not. I beat the game, and I was like, I'm off. Fuck this game. I've like I don't want to do this anymore. Um, but like I mean like, and I know people are like, well, you don't have to play it. It's side stuff. You don't have to do it. Okay, just because it's side stuff doesn't mean you don't have to make it fun. You know, you put the shit in there for a reason for us like to play this stuff, and it's just like they have all these open worlds. And like the first couple, I was like, all right, this is like these are really good. I'm enjoying these. Like it's kind of rinse wash repeat. Like there's a handful of story missions, like side stories, side stuff in here. There's like you have to go find all the towers and stuff like that. Like towers, like climb a ladder, go up there, hit the button, you're good to go. Move on, whatever, blah blah. But then they like the more you go, there's like 6 open worlds in this game, open areas in this game, and they just make it like fucking stupid. Like what you have to do. It's like not even like they just make like they don't make it harder. They just make it longer. And like the point where like okay, well now the tower is bigger. But so instead of just climbing a ladder to get up to the top and hit the button, well now we're gonna make you use a rope, and the rope you climb up is slow as fuck. There's nothing you can do about it, and it's gonna take you like a full minute to get up there. and then you hit the button, and then you get to slide down. Oh, now we're gonna now there's a ladder here. Oh, it broke. Now you gotta take a rope. Oh, now you gotta swing across this thing over here to go up. Like it's not challenging. It's just adding time. I like, oh, here's the thing here. Oh, there's no ladder. I have to spend 3-4 minutes to find a hidden staircase to go up this cliff to then get up there to then climb a rope. It takes what should have taken me 20 seconds. It's now taking me 3-4 minutes, and it didn't add anything fun to it. There's no extra there's no fun here. There's no challenge here. He's just adding time to this very long game that does not need to be this fucking long. Like I know the whole point of like Final Fantasy 7 is like this 40-hour game that they're like expanding out. It was great. Like remake is great. Like remake like that is like an 8-hour part of that game at most, and they turned it into like a 40-hour campaign. And like I loved it. It was my second favorite game of 2020. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And this is like they took that to the extreme. Like, hey, here's like I don't know, a 10-hour part of the game, and we just turned it into 90 hours for no fucking reason whatsoever. And it's like I said, when I'm doing the main quest, when it's just my buddies hanging out and we're just chit chatting and the cutscenes are there, I love it. It is fucking great. It is my game of the year when it comes to that part. It's just everything in between about this game. They it's just it's fun at first and then it just fucking sucks. And like the mini game stuff, like the fact that that shit is like tied into like the main story, like the fact that like if I don't know if there's new game plus, but I was like, because I was like, man, I kind of want to like before the third one comes out. I was like, I replayed remake before Rebirth came out. I'm like, I kind of want to. I love to replay these games again, but if there's a new game plus and I could skip all like if I can't skip the fucking mini games, I'm not doing it because like if I could just mainline the game again, like I would probably really love it. I said like get on to the ending here. It's garbage. It's bad. It sucks. Like they take it like this. Like I'm not gonna spoil what the thing is. Um, but like Final Fantasy 7 is known for like this one big thing that happens in this game, and it all leads to like that big thing.
Hmm.
That is like, and everybody knows if you know this game, you know what's leading to this situation. This is where Rebirth is ending up, and they like try to make it this like weird fucking like, and it's like you're like this it happens but it doesn't happen, and then it's like, oh wait, like you have like so like instead of having this huge emotional moment, like oh my god this thing happened, like you just spend like the next hour and all like this super long not very fun boss fights, and you're like what the fuck is happening, like did this happen or did this not, or like what is going on here, like am I in mode? There's like different timelines. What's happening? And they build this whole thing around like Zack is back. They like I replayed Crisis Core. I replayed Crisis Core when they did the remaster on PlayStation 5, and that game's not good. It's a bad game. I played through that whole fucking game because of the rebirth, and it pisses me off more because they build this whole. Hey, Zack, he's back. He's in this game, and he's in it for like 3 goddamn minutes. Like he's on the cover. Why is he? Why? I choked myself up. No way, I'm making this game. It's now number 10 on my list. I'm mad. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm right in stone. But the more I talk about, it, the more it pisses me off because it's like, man, there's so much here. I love this. There's so much of stuff like where I love this game. If it was like a 50 hour game of like the best parts of this game, it would be my game of the year, no doubt. It's the other 30-40 hours of this game that I fucking hate, and they fucked up the ending. They fucked up Zach. Zach shouldn't be a part of this. It's fucking dumb. It's all bad. I'm still gonna play when the last one comes out. I'm still looking forward to it, but like I'm not happy about the fact I'm looking forward. I'm mad at myself for looking forward to it. Uh, we gotta move on, Gables, because I'm gonna keep going for another 20 minutes. But my number 4, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and it honestly I don't even know if it should be on the list. Gables, before we get into number 3 here, let's go ahead and get into honorable
Yes.
mentions, buddy. Do you have any?
All right. So for honorable mentions, well, you know what? The honorable mentions is going to be for like some of the like the remakes, the remasters, actually that released upon like the last year and stuff. Like say Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, like that HD like remaster and stuff like that. That was a fun time. That definitely had like elements of taking me back and stuff when I was in high school and stuff, playing the GameCube, just doing all this other like crazy stuff in school, and then like just being transported back and just playing with the same like group of characters I did from like back then and stuff, like going through the forest and stuff, then going through like the various like parts and stuff of the whole like Glitzville and stuff with Rockhawk and all the other stuff. That is one game that I want to try to do honorable mention for. I mean, let me see what else. What else do we got here? Um, oh yeah, like Silent Hill 2 remake and stuff. That one, I felt like the atmosphere in that game was really great in terms of in terms of like comparison to like say the original game. I mean, I've seen the second game be played and stuff. I had never really played the Silent Hill 2, but in terms of what I had the chance to play of Silent Hill 2, I really liked what I did play. The whole aspects of the vague puzzles and stuff, the whole like kind of curiosity and stuff of like how this like the scenes, how the characters just basically just the horror elements of it just going really much like playing one thing into another and stuff, and it just all that psychological horror sort of thing was really cool. But other than that, yeah, man. Other than that, though, I really don't have too much like
Okay.
honorable mentions besides those
All
two.
right. Like I said, I think last on the first part, I made a top 15 list here, so I was gonna run through those real fast. Number 15, I had for Crow Country, a really cool like kind of like a PlayStation One game modernized, where it's basically like almost like a Resident Evil game, but like um, looks like a PS1 game, but it's kind of like like a Silent Hill, Resident Evil game from that era. But obviously like modernized and stuff like that. But like you go to a music park and a bunch of weird creatures are there, and there's like okay, like what happened in this like missing people and like all this weird shit happened. But it's like really cool, really great game. I think it's like only like 5 or 6 hours, it's like $20. Um, watch the trailer for it. I think it's really cool. I would say there is a mode you can play where you can turn off the enemies. I don't say do that because like I would say that's like the part of the reason why it's number 15 on my list is because like I think everything about that game is really good. It's like honestly like the it's not that they're hard. It's just like they're not like I feel like the enemies honestly gets in the way of like how good that game is and like the combat part of it. Like there's not a lot of it, but it's like it's got the like later in the game like they just throw a bunch of enemies like everywhere and it just kind of like gets in the way. And like I would say just like it's like more about the puzzles and the mystery of the game is what makes that game great. So like you could if you could just go to the options, turn off the enemies, play the game, you'll love it. Number 14, Hellblade 2 for me. Uh, Incredible game. I absolutely loved it. I'm a huge fan of like Hellblade 1. I think it was like number 4 in 2017 for me. And just kind of continue on with Senua's story. I was blown away by just the sounds of the game, playing with the headset on, the music, Senua was the voice actor, all everything about it. Just like the visually, it's maybe the best looking game I've ever played as far as like realistic graphics. There's parts of the game where like I can't tell if this is like real or if this is like in game. And like the improvements to the combat is really good. Um, yeah, I was blown away by how great this game was. Number 13, SteamWorld Heist 2. I love the first game. It's like the only real Steam game I've ever got into. Was never a fan of like SteamWorld Dig or anything like that. But like Heist, I loved. Heist 2 was even better. I like I say though, like my biggest complaint honestly was like it's like a 25 hour game, and it would have been better if it was like half that. If it was like 10 to 12 like the first game was. Just kind of like that was the biggest complaint. Like I loved it. Like I like parts of like the first one better as far as because it's like in space. I'm more a space nerd. This one's like more pirates and stuff like that. But like the music is fantastic. The band they use the band from the first game and they are like a real life band and they are incredible. So the music is great. I think the characters are really cool. I love the combat, like the improvements on like the strategy to it and everything. It's kind of like a oh god, I'm spacing on the game with like the aliens attack, the top down tactical RPG game. It's gone. But it's like a
Not,
yeah. Anyway, it's like a 2D version of that, but it's great. Like I love that game. It's really cool. I would highly recommend that one, or at least play the first one first actually, and then if you like that one, jump in the second one. Number 12, Fear the Spotlight. Really cool indie horror game made by like two people. It's like another one that's like kind of like PS1 graphics. It's all like played like it's stealth. There's no combat, and you're just like you go into like you sneak into the school at night and you get the Ouija board out. It's like haunted, and then a bunch you get like you and your friend get separated, and it's just like you trying to like find your friend, and all these like weird creature like weird events are happening, and you get like you go back you get like time travel basically, and you're trying to figure out this mystery of what happened to the school like years ago. But it's very creepy. So it's all about stealth, like no combat, being chased by like there's enemies that pop out, and you have to like solve puzzles like to figure out what happens. There's a really cool thing that happens midway through the game that is awesome. I don't want to spoil for people, but Fear the Spotlight is a really great game. And then last but not least, here's Silent Hill 2, another game that I really really liked. Never really been a Silent Hill guy before. Jumping into this one, absolutely loved it. One of the creepier games I've ever played. I remember at one point there was like the sound design in this game was so great that like like a really crazy thing happened in the game, and I couldn't tell if it was in the game or real life. So I had to like get up and look around to make sure this like scary ass noise wasn't in my apartment. Or like, I'm like, oh, it was the game. But yeah, I thought the game was great. I thought the atmosphere was fantastic. The story was really cool. But yeah, that was my number 11 for the year. All right, Gables, let's jump into our number 3 here. We're finally at it, buddy. Top 3, baby. Let's go.
Alrighty. So my number three is a collection
Mm.
of games that I've enjoyed over the years. But what's funny about this, when this was announced, it absolutely freaked everyone out, including myself. And on top of that, this ended up being one of my most played and most enjoyed games of the year. And I'm talking about the Marvel Fighting Collection. The whole culmination of the different games between, like, say, X-Men versus Street Fighter all the way up to, like, MVC2. Excellent. Just excellent form of collection, easy use and stuff of the different fighting games. It's not so much like the quality of the games themselves, which, yeah, all of these games are fantastic, especially MVC2. That's pretty much one of the best fighting games of all time. But in terms of the way you can enjoy them, you can set certain difficulties, you can go through and like set certain rounds, you can customize it to your own enjoying experience. And on top of that, it's like it feels like everything that you do inside the game, you're being rewarded for something. Like you're unlocking artwork for specific characters, you're unlocking different type of illustrations and stuff of like game concepts and stuff. You get to play as a bunch of different varied characters across multiple different like games and stuff. I know that this is one of the few games that I 100% completed last year. And in order to 100% complete that, you have to beat every single game in this collection with every single character. And the fact that I had enough drive to do that last year, on top of trying to play games online with it against people, and my God, playing like games like MVC2 against people that are like veterans that know exactly what they're doing, it can absolutely be either a horrible time or it could be an actual surprisingly fun time because it's like, yeah, it just definitely is one of those experiences to where the game collection had great rollback netcode. And that was just one of those asked about features and stuff for these classic games. And the fact that you have a collection like this from Capcom, and Capcom's been doing everything possible to try to like not just get back lapsed fans and stuff, but they've done so many just gamer friendly, like just fan friendly like stuff over this past few years. It doesn't matter whether it's Resident Evil or if it's Monster Hunter or if it's like in this case a lot of their fighting games like Street Fighter or like there just seems to be a whole bunch of just different accumulation of stuff that has been such a hit with a lot of their fans that it's literally like just people just have like shock and disbelief. Like a good example is like this past Game Awards where it's like Okami, another fucking Okami game is going to be coming out like in the next couple of years, hopefully. And it's like people are still freaking out about that, but to start it off the year and stuff and have like Marvel Fighting Collection appear in a random Nintendo Direct and stuff, that totally threw everybody, including myself, off guard and stuff. And I fucking was just shouting like I was losing my shit because I could not process it. But even with that reveal and my time with it across both the PS4, like the PS4 version and the Switch version, which I'll tell you what, man, play that game on a fucking OLED screen and all the crisp like sprites and everything else like going through it just looks fantastic playing in portable. But yeah, this is my number three game of the year, the Marvel Fighting Collection. Definitely recommended to fighting game fans or just people new to fighting games. This is this should be your starting
Yeah.
point.
All right. Well, Gables, let's jump into my number three here. Um, my favorite indie game of the year. Game I knew nothing about until like the day it came out, basically. A little game called Indica.
Hmm.
People don't remember this game. This is the Nun game. As people are calling it. Game I finished in like one sitting. It's their like 4 or 5 hour game. It's crazy. Like in a year where I think I beat I don't know 8 or 9 games that were like 50 plus hours. Some of my favorite games this year were
Hmm.
also like some like it's like a nice little mix here of like I have like my list of like a bunch of games I put 50 plus hours into, and then some games I put like 5 6 hours into. But yeah, a game like Indica, I finished it in one sitting. I absolutely adored it. So it is like an absolutely like gorgeous game of like visually of what it looks like. It like looks I mean, for an indie game like this, it looks absolutely stunning. Like one of the better looking games, like realism graphics I've ever seen. But it's just like a game that like they never break character, but they just do like they do the weirdest, dumbest shit, and I loved every second of it. Where like nothing in this game makes any sense of like what is happening. They take this like you play as like this like I don't know, she's probably like I don't know, young adult, maybe like late teens, early 20s, and she becomes a nun, but like she hears voices in her head and she thinks like she's like hearing the devil because she's a bad person. And it's this whole game of like her being a nun and all the other nuns like treat her like garbage, and like she like she feels like she's a bad person, uh and like so that's why she thinks the devil's talking to her. And like through like circumstances of events, she ends up meeting this prisoner that escapes, and he thinks he talks to God. So like there's this whole thing of like you play as a nun
Okay.
who thinks she talks to the devil, and you have your person with you is a escaped prisoner who's a murderer who thinks he talks to God, and like you're both going on this journey to the same place to do these things that like but do separate things but like do good. But like what's crazy about this game isn't that it's like it's basically a walking simulator, but like they throw these puzzles in here that
Okay.
don't like they're just goofy. Like you'll go into like a factory, and there are just gigantic fucking fish everywhere, and you have to like maneuver through like them as they come across this platform, and they'll knock you off, and you gotta like shimmy between them, and then you'll fall into like this thing of like caviar, but the caviar is like 10 times bigger than you, or like you get to like move these boxes around, so you have to get a forklift and drive a forklift around to move the boxes as a nun, or like you'll like they're like to help you like there's another nun that's like trying to like reach something on a ladder, and she needs help, and instead of like helping her you can like help her, or you can like I just grabbed the ladder and walked off with the ladder and left her up there. Or like there's like one moment like early on in the game where like they ask you to get they have a bucket and they're like, hey, go get some water out of the well, and you walk to the well, and it's like a 30-second walk. You walk to the well because you walk very slowly, grab the bucket, fill the bucket with water, walk back, and you hand them the bucket, and it says 1 of 5, and make you do it 5 more times, or 4 more times. And like you would think like normally like this like what the fuck are we doing? Like this is stupid. But the way this game works and sets everything up so like quickly, it like you're in for the ride. Like you're either in for the ride immediately or not. And I was in for the ride. Like I did it 4 more times, and it was dumb as fuck, but I loved it. And like you find coins throughout the game that look like the like Mario coins, and they make the sound effect, and you earn experience points, and you have a skill tree, but the skill tree doesn't matter. Like they even say these points don't matter,
Oh
and
my
they like
god.
you unlock skills that like all this throughout the game that are just so dumb. And then they go like they do like they kind of like to tell you things that happen in like Indica's past. They like do like flashbacks, and you play through them, but it turns into like a like 8-bit 16-bit style game. And like the things you do in this like it turns to you do like a top down race like 16-bit graphics, or you do like this rhythm puzzle, or like you have to do like like a platformer. Like it's all like and like all the music is like 8 bits like chip tune music. Like everything about this game is fucking weird, and like they never like acknowledge it. They never like explain it to you. There's like it's just like 7 different people made a game, and they just kind of like put it together,
Mm.
and they made like cool here like we like 7 different widely different games, and we just put it all together into one game, and none of it makes any sense to like what like why we're doing this. They don't explain anything, and you just but like I said, you are either in it or you're not, and I fucking was like totally in. This is one of like my favorite like gaming experiences I've ever had. Like it just like this like so different from anything I've ever played before. I was absolutely enthralled by it. I don't want to say too much because it's like anything I say is a spoiler. Really, I think I feel like I said too much. But like, man, I would just like this is a game. And I think this is like if you were like just I would say don't even watch a trailer. But like if you could, I think it's like $20. Maybe it's on sale at this point. It's been out for I think it came out in like May or something like that. But check it out. Maybe if not, watch a walkthrough of this. But yeah, this game is like one of the coolest games I have ever played. This might be like
Mm.
on my short list of like favorite indie games ever created. Like this game is that good. Honestly, it might be like on my short list for like game of the generation at this point. It is fucking awesome. So yeah, number 3 for me is
Mm.
Indica. All right, Gables, we're getting into it. Number 2 here. We've done our top. We've done what top? We're in our top 2 now, and we have not had a
Yep.
game in common yet. So very
Oh
interesting
wow.
here. I don't think we've had this since 2019, where we had Untitled Goose Game was our only game in common. So, but Gables, uh, give it to me, buddy. What is your number 2?
My number two is Balatro.
Oh,
So Balatro, the rogue-like poker game. I honestly, when I think back upon when I think about the back upon the games that would have been the most least likely for me to actually go and have my game of the year list, I wasn't expecting a poker game to be inside of it. But the thing about this one is I heard it from word of mouth. I heard people that really enjoyed playing this game, and so eventually I got curious. I downloaded it on Steam, started playing it, and automatically, it's like, okay, well, this seems kind of interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and try it. And it's like I spent about a good solid 10 hours playing this game because I got hooked. I got hooked because it's like the premise is simple. You're basically trying to satisfy different factors and advance each round and stuff until finally you get to the big ante of that stage. And so the big ante is where you get to go and try to get a whole bunch of different points and stuff by basically playing different card suits. Like you can play different things like a roll like flushes, straights, this and that and stuff. As long as you can get past that certain number, then you can pass that specific round. And it goes as high as like ante 9, I think it is, ante 8, ante 9. And along the way, you get to use different types of things in this roguelike and stuff. Like you can acquire these different jokers and stuff that'll have different types of abilities. Like one may capitalize on you like well, I don't know, like get like certain money or something like that from playing different card suits of a certain round, or you can convert certain cards or something like that to like hearts, or like you can make like different types of steel cards or something like that, or you could just do combinations of different type of card suits and stuff. Like the jokers themselves can be quite valuable, especially once they start getting into the whole like sort of like a holofoil type of territory towards like parallel rares or this or that, because you'll have your common jokers, your rare ones, and all of a sudden it starts getting more fancy. And the more prestigious like the Joker is, like the more points and like different types of things you'll earn through each time you satisfy the conditions of these Jokers. And so by doing that, it's kind of like the same feeling that I got from playing like Splatoon 3 Side Order earlier on last year, to where it's like I spent so much time just like going playing like a round of launcher, just do that one more game mentality and stuff. And then what's interesting about it is once I beat it, it felt awesome because I finally got that initial rush that I needed in order to get that right Joker combination that would propel me in beating the game. So the reason why this game is number 2 is because I went back to it a different time, but this time on my PS5 because I had a number of like PlayStation rewards that were about to expire, and I looked at it. Well, I can't use it for PSN money like I did for the previous one, so I have enough for Balatro again. So let's go ahead and spend it on that. And once I did the exact same thing. As I spent like about 2 or 3 hours on this stuff. I ended up beating the game on the PS5 as well because I found another type of Joker combination that works fairly well for the run that I was doing, and because I was able to adequately piece together things as well as powering up certain cards by using certain turret cards and certain planet cards to make it so that I get more points for like different card suits like flushes, straights, like those type of card suits that I would earn more for satisfying the conditions and stuff. And it got so much to the point where I got as high as like maybe 50,000 points for like one round or something like that, or getting close to about 90,000 or something. It was one of those type of runs to where I actually went over and I started playing through the next like anti stuff like that until finally I was completely done and stuff like that with my run. I think 125,000 I think was my initial stopping point because I couldn't like go over that because I got a terrible hand that one during that particular game. But the fact remains is this game was so addictive in terms of having me want to play this more because of how easy it was just to go through a complete round and stuff. I could just take maybe 5 minutes, play like a couple of games or something. If that run doesn't like work out or something, I can just go back later. Or I could spend like about a couple hours, like an hour and a half to two, because I got this one run that's literally got me going and stuff all the way, like almost close to where I need to go. But all of a sudden, it's just gets like dismantled because I accidentally discarded certain cards I'm not supposed to, or I accidentally could not I misinterpret something in terms of like conditions of a certain card. It's that type of strategy that definitely had me wanting to just play it more and more. And that's part of the thing I gauge certain game of the year stuff for is that it makes me want to play it through all over again. And so for Balatro, that was number two for me this year.
All right. All right. Well, let's jump into my number two here, Gables. A game that I never thought I'd play, never thought I'd get into. Not a Tyler game at all. It was just circumstances I even tried it. Persona 3 Reload.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
I've talked about it a lot over the years where sometimes like a game just hit at the right moment. And for me, that was like Persona 3 Reload, where like I heard at work, I was sitting at home, couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything, and I was just looking for a game to play. I was honestly just looking for a game to play, to listen to podcast while I played, and I was like, all right, well, I went through Game Pass. I'm like, Persona 3 Reload, that might be a good podcast game right there. Did not turn out to be a great podcast game, and it just been a really great game. A game that like I played. It took me like forever to beat, even just sitting at home. It took me like over. I think it took like a month to actually beat this game. Like it was like 82 hours. Second longest game I played this year, other than Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think that was like 87 hours. Um, but like I said over and over again, my favorite games are the ones we have a great crew, great music, and awesome boss fights. And I think Persona 3 Reload had one of my. I'd say the boss fight is really good, but what put it over the top is the music in that the final boss fight. Where like I didn't love the battle theme in Persona 3 Reload, especially because like you hear it 17,000 times. But like Metaphor v Fantasio, I heard it like 16,000 times, and I still loved it every time. But like Persona 3 Reload, um, yeah, the boss fight, the music was like it was fine, but like when you get to like the final boss fight, it turns into like this rock opera, and I like it went from like like when I would listen to like the Persona 3 music on like YouTube or something like that. I used to like I would like skip over like the battle theme and go on to the next thing to like I would now like I still regularly go and just like listen to just that final boss fight theme because it is so fucking epic and so great. And it's just like I mean, when it ends on a great note like there on top of that too, and like I really love the combat in this game. Where like I'm not big on like turn-based combat. Like that's not for me. Like I like Metaphor v Fantasio's combat and stuff like that. Like these are great games on top of like well, that like despite really the combat like I get through them, but like um, I loved how quick and fluid the combat of this one was, and like the fact that like when like you hit somebody with a weakness, you can like instead of like oh you get to hit him again, but like I can quickly just one hit of a button switch over to a different character and like stack these moves on top of each other, and like I love that how fast the combat got, And on top of that, like just like how quickly you can like switch between characters when you hit the weakness and like just combo everything together. Everybody works together. So like I can do all these like moves in a row before the enemy gets to attack and knock them out real fast, or do like just find like finding out the perfect system and the perfect personas that bring in a battle was excellent. And like I talk about like for really early on in the game where like I was not liking like the day system so much, but it was more so just like overwhelmed and like I didn't like not this is my first Persona game. Never played an Atlas game outside of Catherine. I love that. I love Catherine though. Before Persona 3, we were relevant. I played 2 Atlas games this year now. But like I was really overwhelmed that first like chunk of the game with the day system because I was like, man, I know I'm wasting time. I'm not doing the right things here. I'm wasting a lot of time in Tartarus, and that was like the biggest complaint is Tartarus is like it just kind of goes on way too long. That was a big frustration, but the combat is fun enough that like even though yeah like it drags on, especially the second half of that game where like that the Tartarus stuff is like gets even insane how long some of those they get. But I still like but everything else is great. But like I went from like being totally overwhelmed when I like by the day system to like I say the second half of that game like where like I was loving it to the fact that like like usually like it's almost like when you play some of these games sometimes these like especially these bigger games where it's like there's just so much going on. There's like especially open world games like there's so much you kind of get overwhelmed by how much there is to do. And this kind of like almost like someone like me that has like problems with like ADHD and stuff like that and like kind of gets overwhelmed, gets anxiety sometimes about playing these games. Where like it kind of makes me focus and like on the things I want to do and like cool now like I get to do these things, but also like I can't like I can't do everything, so I gotta focus on the things I want to do, and so it kind of turned this thing of like cool like it helped me like tunnel vision on what I needed to do or what I wanted to do or whatever. And I was no longer like kind of that like, oh my god, there's 6,000 things here to do and I gotta do all of them. It's like cool, there's 6,000 things here to do, but I can only do 2,000 of them or whatever. Just kind of a crazy example there. But like I love that fact and like the fact that like there's some really great characters in this game, like Yukari and Mitsuru and. I was so pissed off that Gables never told me that you get a goddamn dog in your team and he ended up being one of the coolest goddamn uh, characters in the goddamn game. Every time, like even though like I max out everything with him, every time the little fucker needed to go for a walk or get brushed, even though there was no benefit being doing it, I fucking did it because I love the little bastard. Like I doing like Ken was like ended up being a really cool character in the end. Like I don't want to stroll and stuff like that. Like a lot of great characters in this game, but like the fact that like this game, like I really felt like almost like you don't realize it, but like the first like 40 hours of this game is kind of like a tutorial, like not a tutorial, but it really is just like you getting used to the systems. And it's wild, like 40 hours in. The game doesn't like you don't really learn what the story of this game is and like what overall like what you're doing. And like the most important character to this game is not introduced until the 40 like about 40 hours in. Obviously, give or take how much stuff you're doing. Like I guess is like she's on the fucking cover of the game. She is like the main person of this game, and you don't even see her until 40 hours in. And like it's wild that like all like there's so much cool stuff that happens that first half of the game. Like I said, there was like a lot of growing pains for me, like learning this game and learning the systems, learning everything about it. Made a lot of mistakes along the way. Um, but like like I said, once I got like understood it and like I just felt like I felt like a well-oiled machine by the end of the game, and like to the point that like I did almost everything in the game. I did like 97 of like the 101 side quests. I think I maxed out over half of the social links, and like if I would have like managed my time better in the first half, I could have done them all. I did all the ones I wanted to do, except for a couple like I found like late in the game, and I was like they were so good, but I couldn't finish them because I just ran out of time because I found them so late, and I'm like God damn it! So I had to go like I went and looked up and watched the videos to like find out what happened to them because like I love some of those and like there's some really heart wrenching or some really great characters in that game that are like you can just easily miss and never see. Um, yeah, like I said, like the boss fights are incredible. The gameplay, I loved how fast and fluid it went. Like the fact that like after a while of this game, I knew the schedule to the entire like the whole town, how the whole town worked. I'm like, okay, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I can go work in the coffee shop and I'll raise my charm and I'll raise like I can make money. On Sundays, I can go work at the movie theater and I can make more money, but I don't get these things if I these bonuses if I do this. Or like on Saturdays, I get discounts at the shop. Or on Tuesdays I can go to the police station and get discounts on the weapons and so forth. Like I knew everything. I knew where this person would be on that day. Like the point of the game where like I just knew everything and everybody and knew where everybody was gonna be every single day. I knew like how crazy. And it wasn't like the game like hitting you over the head like making you learn. It was just like I played this games. I did these games this thing so many times. And the point that like I never really got tired of doing a lot of these things. And like I just loved it. I had a great time and just like talking to these characters. It blew me away. I was absolutely stunned. A game that I went to just to play while doing podcasts. A game that like I didn't listen to a lot of podcasts when I played this game. I just ended up really liking it. It was a really good game with some some phenomenal music. And fuck you, Gables, for not telling me about the dog. Um, but yeah. Anyways, Gables, this is it. We're finally here. Um, Gables, let's talk about it, buddy. Our game of the year.
Okay.
Let's go with it. Number one, buddy. What is it?
Astrobot.
Gables, can I tell you a secret? Mine is also
Yeah.
Astrobot.
Would have thought, man. Like the only game we have in common this year is the number
So
one
we've been
game.
doing this. This is our 12th time doing a game of the year list. And all the years we've done this, we have never had two people have the same game at number one. We've never had the same game of the year ever. Even when Jake and Justin were here, and this never happened in the history of Drunk Nerds. So yeah, it's fine. Hey, a game's gonna be number one for two people. It might as well be this goddamn game. But Gables, it is your turn. So go ahead.
All right. The reason why I feel Astrobot is number one for my game of the year list is because this is a love letter to long-term PlayStation fans, first and foremost. The second thing is this is the closest to a Mario game as physically possible without it being like any type of infringement or any type of like just without like say Miyamoto in charge of anything of that sort. This game gave me the same kind of feelings as I would have experienced playing games like say like Super Mario 64 or even like say Super Mario Odyssey because there was so much fun stuff that was like hidden inside each levels and each like various areas in the nebulas and stuff. Gosh, it also sometimes drew parallels to some of the things that I felt while playing games like Super Mario Galaxy because you're exploring different like types of stages and stuff have their own set themes and stuff. There's a lot of crazy like hidden secrets that you wouldn't even think about thinking they're there, but they're there. It's just the attention to detail of every single stage is just fantastic because there's different homages of different PlayStation franchises like Ape Escape, like Metal Gear Solid, like Castlevania and stuff. I mean, Eve Silent Hill, Resident
Mr.
Evil, the list
Mosquito.
goes on. Basically any yeah, Mr. Mosquito. No matter what, like obscure or like more popular franchises that were associated with PlayStation throughout the years, it's in this game. Ev- And you want to know something? It's like some of the ones that I really didn't see the little minute ones, and I know I'm thinking about it now. Like the PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale stuff, but it's like it's like this is what you do as like say a company if you want to try to if you were trying to like do similar things say with what Nintendo would do but they've never done, and it's kind of hilarious to think that Nintendo, they have Smash Brothers, right? To where they have all their franchises and stuff inside of their initial portfolio that they throw together in the fighting game and stuff. And then there are other companies that will give them permission to like use some of their characters, like say for Final Fantasy or Castlevania or this or that, and people absolutely love it. At the same time, for Astrobot, this is a game series that's been around for a while, right? I mean, they're the game that they had literally inside of the PS5 when you
Mm-hmm.
bought it, that was a fantastic game that warranted enough people to want more Astrobot. And then when we finally get this game, criminally underrated in terms of like sales and stuff, right? Didn't perform well in the sales things, but this is absolutely 100% the best PlayStation game to release this year because not only is there different homages, but the gameplay itself is crisp. It's an excellent 3D platformer, a genre that hardly ever gets a lot of recognition now because that type of genre of game is like relatively for a long time had been dormant. It'd been left to the side because of other types of like different types of genres, like the 3D action games and stuff, the open world games, the this and that. if just with Astrobot, it's more akin to like say games you would play as a from your youth and stuff. Those type of platformers, whimsical, different like memorable stuff. I felt that a lot of the mechanics of this game worked fairly well with a dual sense. This is the only game franchise I can think of that uses full emphasis upon almost every feature of the system that it's associated to. I mean, even with like say for PlayStation Move or something like that, or like with the VR headset stuff, for the dual sense here, I mean, you're using the dual sense and stuff to like literally like just drive around the little Astrobot and stuff and his buddies and stuff. When you pause the game and stuff, you're freaking like just shaking the controller and all the little Astrobots are flying everywhere and this and that. You hear like little sounds and stuff of like different little ones and stuff like that when you're like doing different things and stuff, and you get a lot of the various like other features of the dual sense that play into mind, like the whole tightening of like restriction and stuff, like the shoulder buttons and this and that. But ultimately, this is a game of the year. It's because this is one of the most enjoyable games I had a chance to experience in the year 2024. Yeah, there was a lot of bullshit that happened in 2024, and there was a lot of things I personally hated in 2024, and this was one of the few things where I absolutely positively enjoyed because it made me forget a lot of my freaking like a lot of like different frustrations and stuff like that. Made me forget about all the bad things. This is part of the reason why I play video games is because I want to escape from those different aspects of life. And this led me to go through and enjoy something for as long as I did. I put like about like God, like 15, maybe 20 hours of this game because I want to completed it. And once I did get to the final secret section of this game, well, spoiler warning to this for those of you that have yet to play Astrobot, you might as well just you might as well just like tune out and stuff and try to buy it for yourself because that game is worth playing through it. But yet, when you get to the whole final secrets of this game, and all of a sudden you're revealed to this one character, out of all like the stuff, it just perfectly like surmises like the icing on the cake in that stuff, and the a trophy that pops up when you complete this the hardest stage in the entire game is even more so rewarding. But yeah, Astrobot is my game of the
Yeah.
year. So Tyler,
Yeah.
it's your
So
turn.
it's also mine, and like you said a lot of things already that yeah, like it is like it's not only just like it's so many things. It's a 10 out of 10 in so many different ways of like it's just like if you just took it on its own, like just like took the platforming, took the game itself, like the platforming, the levels, everything like that, are 10 out of 10. It is like it is game of the year worthy just based off of like the game, the levels. Playing through, if it was just a game without the PlayStation stuff in there, it's a 10 out of 10 experience. It is phenomenal. It's a great time. The music is phenomenal. But then you just add in the love letters to like the history of PlayStation, just like the dumb things of like building like rebuilding your PS5 spaceship, or like yeah, like you
Mm,
finding like random things like and getting so I mean, there were so many times I like audibly gasped because I was so excited and like surprised of like these characters that pop up, or like characters I even knew were in the game, but just finding them. Like I did everything but I got all the other trophies except for beat the final level. I finally broke me, and I'm like, all right, I
mm,
gotta walk away at this point. But yeah, like just finding everything and like audibly gasping when I found Trico from like Last Guardian, or just like going through and like when you have all your buddies on your map and stuff, you go around and you can like hit them and they do different things. Like you go up like Street Fighter characters and you hit with the Hadouken, Hadouken, or like you go up there and like you like Snake is under like from Metal Gear is under a box and you hit the box over and he's like well, he's looking at like a dirty magazine. He gets like ooh, and he like hides stuff like that, or like whatever. Like just so many like dumb things in there. Like I absolutely loved it. But yeah, like I said, it is a love letter to PlayStation, a love letter to the video games. But it's just like it's also just like it's a great game too, and it's just like I can't believe like how great all this was. And like I'm not even a huge like 3D platforming is not my style of game. Like if you look at like my top 10 list here, like I love so many different types of games. I played through like so many different style of games this year, and like it's so different from what I usually get into. Like I'm not a big 3D like 3D platform wise. Like outside of like Mario Odyssey, like there's not really a lot that I absolutely love. Like I play them, I enjoy them to a certain extent, but like I don't, they're not usually something I think about too much longer after that. And like just be blown away. And like I said, this is it's just a video game as a video game. and it's like definitely like brings you back to like it made me feel like a kid again playing like this video game with just pure joy. Like I love a great story, I love great characters, I love all these things like I talk about over and over again in video games. But
Mhm.
it's just like, man, I just like, yeah, this game is just happiness. It is happiness on a disc, on a Blu-ray disc. And yeah, I had fun pretty much through most of the game, and the only time I wasn't having fun is because I was angry because I was those goddamn challenge levels. But they're just so fun, and they snapped you back so quickly that like I was like I just kept going. And like I'll say the one time where I nearly broke my Astrobot controller, and I physically had to get up, take my dog for a walk, and actually touch grass for like 5 minutes. Like literally had to go outside and touch grass because I was so mad. But then I went back in and like my third try, I beat the level, and it was just like, God damn it!
Mm.
After like 45 minutes of trying. But like yeah, it's just yeah, like I said, it is pure joy. It is just phenomenal. Yeah, it is like I think 2024 has been a really great year for video games. I played so many different style of games, so many
Mm.
different types of games. I jumped into games I've never played for, never thought I would jump into and play before. But yeah, like yeah, Gastrobot is just like yeah, it is just yeah, it is just it's just joy, it's just happiness, and yeah, it was great. So yeah, I think that's it. We'll do a quick little recap here for our game of the
Mm.
year list here. Give me 1 second as I do a time code. All right. We're done. All right. And we'll jump into we'll go to our top 10 list here one more time. We'll do with Gables first here. Number 10, Buckshot Roulette.
Mm.
Number 9, Arzette. Number 8, Pokemon Trading Card Game. Number 7, Vampire Survivors Ode to Castlevania. Number 6, Splatoon 3 Side Order. Number 5, Destiny 2 The Final Shape. Number 4, Tekken 8. Number 3, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. Number 2, Balacho. And number 1, Astrobot. My top 10 here. Number 10, Metaphor Refantasio. Number 9, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Number 8, Helldivers 2. Number 7, Stellar Blade. Number 6, Neva. Number 5, Dragon Age The Veilguard. Number 4, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Number 3, Indica. Number 2, Persona 3 Reload. And number 1, Astrobot. So yeah, that is our top 10 list. And
Mm.
obviously overall, our number 1 game of the year is Astrobot. For the first time ever in 12 years of doing
Yep.
this, we had 2 people have the same number 1 game, and it's Astrobot. Very well deserved. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for like game of the year. One of my favorite shows we do every year. We'll be back we should be back next week with a normal podcast. Finally, we haven't had a normal podcast in a while. Jumping into like hopefully there's been a lot of news.
Mm.
Hopefully we heard about the Switch 2 finally. Hopefully we've finally seen it. It'd be fantastic. But we'll see the new 3D Mario game or the new Mario Kart or whatever. But yeah, if you guys like this show, like what we're doing, please like, follow, subscribe, hit the thumbs up buttons. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on pretty much anywhere podcasts are available. We are on it. So if you can like us there, whatever you can do to help us out, we really appreciate it. Share with your friends. I was Tyler.
And I've been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, thank you for listening to another fun-filled episode of the Drunk Nerds podcast. And here is to a fantastic year ahead.
Love you guys.
See ya.